Doctors, let's talk. Running a private practice isn't easy. Shrinking reimbursements, growing overhead, endless charts is exhausting, isn't it? But what if I told you that you could build a thriving practice without burning out? What if you could increase your profitability, make a bigger impact, and actually enjoy your life again? Introducing the Profitable Private Practice Movement, the ultimate membership for private practice owners who are ready to stop spinning their wheels and start building a practice that works for them. Inside, you'll gain access to powerful strategies to stop leaving money on the table. We're talking real-world tools to streamline your operations, fill your patient portal, and finally unlock revenue and your freedom that you deserve. You'll also get insider secrets from million-dollar practice owners, hands-on guidance during implementation sessions, and a community of rockstar physicians who get it. It's like having a business coach, a roadmap, and a support system all in one. Less than the price of a cappuccino a day. So what are you waiting for? Stop settling for slim margins and endless stress. It's time to build the practice and the life you've always dreamed of. Visit entremd.com/movement to get started today.
I was committed to executing, even if I felt scared, even if I was unsure, even if somebody said something, somebody left a weird review. I was just committed to executing on what I know to be true because I was going to hit this 1 million. I was going to do it.
Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una.
I am so committed to seeing you win. I literally sat down to think about something that will make a huge difference in your business. I find that a lot of physician entrepreneurs think they can't launch businesses, think they can't grow them, think they can't scale them. There's a lot of glass ceilings that are there, and people are like, I can't overcome that. But I have watched my businesses grow massively. I've watched many of my clients do the same thing. I just celebrated so many of my clients who said to me, my count is at 10 now, who said to me, I have generated more in the first 6 months of 2025 than I generated in all of 2024. I have seen people who have gone from employee to a multi-seven-figure business in 3 years. I've seen all of these things over the last 7 years. And so I sat down and thought, okay, let me break down how I have done this and come and share it. So I thought about the first time that I had a 657% increase in business year over year. Okay. And I want you to think about that number. It's pretty wild. But I sat down to think, what were all the things that happened? Now, there are other principles, but I just want to pull out one story and walk you through exactly what happened for us to pull that off. Okay. So this was our first year in EntreMD. Our first year, we did about $120,000 in revenue. Okay. So 2019, we did about that. And then 2020, we did about 260. Towards the end of 2020, I started thinking about my goal for 2021. And I had this nudge. It's almost like an invitation, like, why don't you do $1 million in 2021? And I thought, 120 to 260, I get that, right? That's doubling your business and all of that stuff. I get how that can happen. But from 260 to $1 million, nobody does that. This is what I was thinking to myself. This is not a thing that happens. But for some reason, I was willing to explore it. I was willing to say, okay, well, how could that happen? What would need to happen at that time for that to happen? And I didn't have a pathway. I didn't know how it could, but I decided, let's go for it. What do we have to lose? And so 2021, I started that off that year with a goal to do $1 million in revenue. Okay. January, I was still thinking about it, trying to think about a pathway and all of those things. Couldn't work it out. In my mind, I just couldn't work it out. February, I couldn't work it out. March was when things started to click. Okay. But what I want to do is walk you through all the things that happened and the things that created these results. Now, one of the things that you must have in order to experience massive growth in your business is that you need to be able to get people results. And so that piece I'm not going to talk about because that's a given. And so for me, my commitment has always been to up level the way I serve my clients. even on the podcast, up level the way I serve you. So you're listening to this and I'm trying to normalize seven-figure businesses and normalize multi-seven-figure businesses for physician entrepreneurs. And so I'm like, what is the highest value content I can bring to you, right? And so my clients, I'm like, okay, let's normalize six figures. Let's normalize multiple six figure. Let's normalize seven figures. Let's normalize multi-seven-figure businesses while having more time off and having the bandwidth to be a better spouse and a better parent and able to take care of your health better and all of those things. So I am so laser focused. I am obsessed, healthy obsession, but I am obsessed with helping my people get bigger and bigger results. And the people who are in the EntreMD Business School can attest to this, where it's almost like every 90 days, the wins are bigger, right? And that's by design, right? Like, so we keep pushing for that. So I'm not going to talk about that piece. That's a huge part of it, because that's a great part of the reason why when people come into the EntreMD Business School, they tend to stay. They tend to stay because they're getting world-class mentorship, they're getting accountability, they're getting community. And these three elements keep getting better and better every 90 days. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to talk about that piece. I'll talk about the others. All right. And I'm going to give you 5 things that happened, 5 things you need to have, because I'm not telling you the story to tell you the story, right? I'm a very private person. If I had a way of imparting this without telling you the story, I'd do that, right? So I'm not telling you the story to tell you the story. I'm telling you the story for you to hear it and then take the principles and go and apply it in your own business, okay? All right. And this will work whether you're growing, you're scaling, you have a different vertical you're working on and all of that stuff. It will grow, because for me, this was my second business. This wasn't even my first business. Okay. Okay. So a number of things happened. So number one, a friend of mine, and when I say a friend, this is somebody that I met on social media and we connected and all of those things, a fellow physician entrepreneur. One of my friends introduced me to a group, and it's called The Trust. It's run by Ali Brown. It's a group of women who are CEOs and founders of companies doing over $1 million in revenue. Okay. So $1 million was the floor. And she introduced me to this group. And I'll tell you why that was very, very critical in a moment. But she introduced me to the group. But what put me in a position where this person was able to introduce me to the group is a number of things that happened, right? So one was I was in a Facebook group that was a physician-only Facebook group, and I was a major contributor in that group, right? So I'd come and I share concepts that I'm learning and practicing in my business, was creating wins and all of those kind of things. And so I had a lot of visibility in the group, okay? And then one day, the owner of the group then comes on Facebook and says, oh, wow, Dr. Una, she wouldn't talk about these things, but let me tell you about her. She runs a 7-figure practice. She's been retired from it, all of that stuff. She does this post. And that post goes on to create a lot of opportunities for me, right? Like, people invite me for speaking gigs, people invited me for guest coaching spots and all of those things, right? Like, there are a lot of things that happen. I got clients from that one post. And then I also acquired another network of physician entrepreneurs as friends. And so it was that post in that group where I had built visibility that led to this person who then tells me about this group. Okay. See how I'm tracing all of that? Now I'm tracing that to say, when you don't have visibility, you're hurting yourself, right? Like, there are people who could open doors for you, but they won't open doors for you because they have no clue you exist, right? They have no clue you're qualified to be in the room. They have no idea. If you don't have visibility, you limit opportunities for you to get referrals. You lose the opportunity to get clients and patients. And so whenever you have an opportunity to be visible and you don't take it, it's important that you understand that you are hurting your brand, you're hurting your business, you're slowing down your success. I have clients in the EntreMD Business School who have had doctors come apply to work for them, really great hires, because of their brand. Okay, so you must be visible. This was the starting point of a lot of these things. You must be visible, okay? You must be visible wherever you find yourself. So I see people show up in Facebook groups full of physician entrepreneurs, and the people they serve are physician entrepreneurs, and they're hiding. And I'm like, if you're hiding, like, who's supposed to put your name out there? Like, Stop lurking. Like, this is the first thing you need to get. Stop lurking. Don't lurk in Facebook groups. Don't lurk when you go for events. Don't be quiet when you show up in meetings. You never know who opened doors for you. In the EntreMD Business School, there was a doctor who said, I opened up my practice. This is where I am. I expected my volumes would be higher at this time. Can anybody give me some ideas what I should be looking at differently? And somebody else is like, what? You're in mind. I know the person who's in charge of XYZ, which is literally the person has access to probably thousands of patients of people who could be her patients. Is like, hang on, let me send her a text real quick. And just by showing up and being visible, this other doctor's probably set herself up for hundreds and hundreds of patients, and it'll be a gift that keeps giving. We cannot afford to not be visible. Like, why are we hiding? Why are we saying we want our businesses to grow and we're hiding? So 656% growth in a year. If it sounds great to you, the first principle I have for you is get more visible. Get more visible. Show up live. Show up on other people's platforms. Do the thing, right? And I'm not talking about being yucky and being icky. I did a whole podcast episode on how to show up in other people's Facebook groups, like how to behave, right? We create win-win situations. We don't go there to create a pitch fest, okay? Okay, so that's the first thing, is visibility. Visibility, that's the second thing. All right, so I got introduced to this group called The Trust, and they had a meeting. And I remember it was in Miami, Florida. And at this point, I was probably seeing patients 3 to 4 days a week in my practice. I had to take the time off. I had to pay for the trip, had to pay for my accommodations. I had to do all of those things. Okay. But I went for the meeting, and I went for that meeting in March. Okay. So many of you have heard me tell this story before, but it's super powerful. So I'm going to share it. Right. And so I went for the meeting, and there was a lady. If I remember correctly, she was 32 years old. She just had a baby. Baby was like 4 months old or something like that. And then she starts talking about her company. She says, somebody has come to acquire a company for 9 figures. But I think that we can probably get the company to that point on our own in a few years. So I declined the offer. And I remember thinking, I'm like, wow, first of all, they're trying to buy your company for 9 figures. Second of all, it was not that amazing to you that you took the offer, right? And then she proceeded to say something that absolutely blew my mind. She says, I think we can get there on our own because we're doing an easy $1 million a month. Okay. So I remember thinking, I'm like, easy $1 million a month in the same sentence. And there's no not or no in the sentence. Like, what in the world? Now, what was happening in that space was, it was an expansion of what I thought was possible. Because here I had a private practice, was very successful, doing well over 7 figures. I had started EntreMD. And I didn't really start it as a side hustle. It's not a thing I do, but it was my second business, right? Like, it was my second business. I was testing it out. Let's see how we do this thing. And like, we doubled. That's awesome. But I could not conceptualize taking it to $1 million, right? I just couldn't conceptualize it at the time. And so when she said that, I was like, wait, if she can do an easy $1 million a month, I can do some kind of $1 million over the course of a year. And that's a thought that stayed with me. Okay, so it stayed with me for 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, I had planned to stay for an extra day. I started thinking about it. So not easy $1 million a month, but we can do $1 million a year. I was like, I got to figure out how to own this goal and all of this stuff. And so after I heard her say that, I was like, okay, we're going to do $1 million a year. And this is very important to note, right? Because this is very, very important, because you can write anything you want to write as a goal at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of a quarter, or whatever, but you know when you own it. I hadn't owned it. I was like, let's try, let's see, let's explore, like, I'm willing to do the work. I don't know what the work is. I don't know if I can really pull this off. In that moment, I owned it. I was like, okay, we're going to do $1 million. Okay, we're going to do $1 million. All right. So after we did that, right, the meeting was over. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the $1 million. And I think, let me pause here. Okay. So I pull out the second principle, and then I'll tell you what happened after that. The second principle here is investing, especially investing in community, okay? Because the thing is, yes, you can learn one-to-one, but there's something about being in a room with people who are where you want to be. There's something about being in a room with people who are doing what you're trying to do. And I don't mean they're doing the exact same thing. Like, this person was in a completely different industry. This was a product-based industry, right? Like she was not a physician or anything like that. And there's something about being in those communities that activates what is on the inside of you, that helps you see pictures you couldn't see before, helps you think bigger, think you can show up bigger, think you can do bigger, think you can have bigger. And you can't escape the impact of your environment. So you're going to be like your environment. When you're younger, your environment, when I say environment, I mean the people in your world. It can change. It's almost automatic. It's like a default, right? Or your parents control it or whatever. But when you become an entrepreneur, it's very important that you strategically put yourself in the right environments, because you will take the shape of your environment. And so that's why, for instance, in the EntreMD Business School, one of the biggest things I push for is community. And in the beginning, people are like, oh no, I just want one-on-one. I'm like, trust me on this one. Like, you want community. You want to be in a community of people. Their dreams are so big. You're like, wait, what? And what they accomplish is so big, and they're willing to talk about it, right? And so at the time of this recording, this is the beginning of the third quarter of the year. And one of the things we do is we review the quarter, and people come out and post about the wins they had and all. It's so inspiring. Even to me, it's so inspiring. You're just looking at like, oh, I surpassed my 2024 revenue, or I grew my business by 250%. Or you see someone who's struggling in business, and you see them cross their first multiple six figures. You see someone who's running a multi-7-figure business talking about growing by 16%. Now that level, 16% is a whole other number. And you see someone launch a course, almost did $600,000 in revenue. It's like so wild. So wild. And you're just looking, you're like, wait, what? What is happening here? Right? And of course you have options, right? You could choose to be intimidated or inspired. But like I always tell them, I'm like, please choose inspiration over intimidation, because how many other communities will you be in where people are willing to share their numbers and their challenges and all of these things, right? And so anyway, so is the investment for community. If you notice, for me, first of all, I invested to join the community. I invested to go to the event. I invested to pay for the travel. I invested to pay for the hotel rooms and all of those things. But you have to understand that community will change you. Community will change you. So it brought me to the point, and I didn't know that's what would happen when I went there, but it brought me to the point where I owned the goal. Okay. Again, this is why in the EntreMD Business School, we have 2 events every year. We have the Business Makeover Mastermind that happens in Atlanta in April. And then we have the Vision Retreat that happens by a beach somewhere in October, right? And people will tell you, like, this was a defining moment for me. This was the moment that changed everything for me. And it was some conversation they were just having at a table. It didn't even have anything to do with me, right? That's the power of having the right people in one room. That was the second thing. That's the second principle, is investing for community. Now we stopped at where I had made the decision. So now that I had made the decision and I had owned this goal, I now ran into another challenge. And the challenge here was, but I don't know how to get there. At the time, the EntreMD Business School was $597 a month, or $6,500 for the year. I always knew I was building a $25,000 school, but I just couldn't bring myself to charge that, right? And at $597, we were seeing all kinds of wins, like unbelievable wins. And people are like, I can't believe you're charging so little for it. But I was working through my own mind drama, whatever. And so it's like, I don't see the strategy to this. I don't see how we're going to do, like, I do the math. I'm like, $597 to get to $1 million is too many people. I don't want that number of people in business school. How am I going to find that number of people? All this stuff. So because I had the extra day in Miami, I put my sneakers on, I put my AirPods in, and I headed to the beach. And I decided I was going to take a walk here, and I'm going to do what I need to do. Pray, meditate, run the numbers through my head, do all the things, but I was not going to leave the beach until I had the number. I had the pathway, like, how am I going to get there? And so I go at it, right? Pacing, I'm walking, I'm doing math, I'm reverse engineering it, I'm doing all these things. First hour passes. Second hour, I'm praying, I'm trying to figure out what this strategy is on all this stuff. Second hour passes. And then third hour, I continue, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm visualizing, I'm doing all the things, and then trying to do this math. And the third hour comes to an end. I have no answer. I haven't figured it out. And then I had a series of thoughts. At the third hour, I walked away with the confidence that I could charge $997 a month or $10,000 for the year for the EntreMD Business School. And to be very clear, people were getting wins. They were getting wins that were more than 10x $597 a month. Because sometimes people are like, I'm just going to charge my worth. I don't look at it that way, right? Because your worth, you're priceless. So it's not about charging your worth. It's about bringing value to the marketplace that is more than whatever you're charging, right? That's ethical pricing. And I did a whole episode on that. It's called Ethical Pricing. So you can take a look at it. Okay. So I walked away because the thing was, if I said $997, but I didn't have confidence in it, like if I wasn't sold on it, I wouldn't be able to sell it. You can only sell what you're sold on, right? And so me staying there was like, I need to find the path. I need to be sold on the path. And so I walked away with, oh my goodness, it's a steal at 10 grand a year. Can you imagine? Right? Because did we have a pathway to get people to six figures? Yes. Did we have a pathway to get people to multiple six figures? Yes. Did we have a pathway to get people to seven figures? Yes. Did we have a pathway to get people to multiple seven figures? Yes. So what does that mean? We can happily charge $10,000 and it's still a steal, like unbelievable steal. And if you're like, you've had mind drama around this, I hope this is helping you too. All right. And so I walked from the beach. So this is probably 3.5 hours at this point. I watched from the beach right back to my hotel room, go to my page, the page for the EntreMD Business School, change the pricing on the page, call my team, tell them this is the new price as of today. And boom, that was it. And so that was in April. And in June, I had my next big launch because then we didn't have rolling admission and stuff like that with the EntreMD Business School, which we do have now. I did my next launch in June. We brought 42 doctors in at 10 grand. That was the biggest launch we had till date. And it was the biggest launch at the highest price. Right. And so if you do the math, that's 420,000 plus whatever revenue that we had created in the first 3 months, which I think was about 120,000. So when you think about it, mind boggling. But again, what happened? The visibility, got introduced to this group, heard a conversation. It wasn't even what the owner said, like just heard this conversation that triggered me owning my goal. And then I go walk the beach to get the pathway. Right. So what is the third principle there is pathways thinking. And so there is something that sometimes I see entrepreneurs do like, yeah, we're going to have a 7-figure year, blah, 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 blah. And when you ask them how they're going to get there, they have no clue and they're not working on the pathway. Right. You set a goal. Right. That's wonderful. But when you're done, you need to apply pathways thinking, right? So that's what I call the third principle is pathways thinking. In the EntreMD Business School, we call it EBS math, right? The EBS math puzzle. And you're just reverse engineering it. Like, how am I going to get there? And you play that game as many times as you need to play it till you get the equation that creates the goal that you want, okay? So that's the third thing. Now, the fourth thing, I already alluded to it a little bit. And, even though I had the confidence that, okay, the EntreMD Business School is absolutely worth 10 grand a year. And having that confidence and knowing that this is a steal and being giddy and excited about it does not mean as I got closer to my launch that all these fears didn't come up. Like, oh my goodness, what if nobody says yes? What if people find out, oh, maybe it's not as good as you think it is? What if people are like, well, when it was $597, I would have joined, but I'm not going to join for 10,000 and all of those things. So the fears came up, right? The fears came up. But this is the thing. When I walked away from Miami, I was committed to executing, even if I felt scared, even if I was unsure, even if somebody said something, some naysayer, or somebody left a weird review or whatever, I was just committed to executing on what I know to be true because I was going to hit this 1 million. I was going to do it, right? What I call that is living in the 20%, because what did I have to do? If I changed it on my website, does it mean 42 people came? No, that's not what it means. What it means is I did a workshop. And so that was EntreMD Live, right? EntreMD Live 2021. So I did a live event. It was virtual. So you can think about it as a workshop, whatever, but I did a live event. I sold the live event hard. Like I invited everyone I knew and everyone they knew to come attend the event. And I know, like, of course, we deliver such great value that they're going to be changed, whether they join the EntreMD Business School or not. But for the people who do join the EntreMD Business School, now they're going to take that change to a whole other level. And so invited everyone. And then when it came to making my offer, I owned it. I'm like, this is the school. This is what you'll get out of it. This is why it's a non-negotiable. It's a no-brainer, and all of those things. And people said yes. And of course, a few people said yes. Well, a good number of people said yes, like during the event. But we left enrollment open for probably 4 or 5 days after that. And there were so many people who waited till the very last minute. So guess what? I had to keep selling. I had to keep sending the emails. I had to keep sending testimonials and doing all those things. So I stayed in the 20%, which we talk about this all the time. These are the activities that actually move the needle. In my case, you'll be speaking, you'll be selling, you'll be promoting on social media. You'll be following up with the people we've already talked to and all of those things. So I kept doing that until we ended up with 42 people. That was huge. The principle there is living in the 20%. So if you're going to say, I'm going to build a 7-figure business, you have to ask yourself, what are the things that actually move the needle? Does playing on Canva move the needle? Does tweaking your business plan for the 7,000th time move the needle? Does tweaking your website for the 45th time move the needle? Do you have 17 goals in 3 different businesses instead of zeroing your focus on the one thing that you want to see work? Like, there's so many things that need to be done. And these are 20% things. We need to be selling. We need to be making offers. We need to be making a whole lot of offers. We need to be leading our team to make offers. Like, that's what is required. And if you don't do it, you won't get the result. If you do it a little, you're not going to get the result. You must do what is required, right? So ask yourself, for the goal that you set for yourself for this year, for your business, what is required? Not what you would like to do, not what you're comfortable doing. What is required? That's your 20%. Okay. So living in the 20% is the fourth principle. But if you look at it, right, like, so 420,000 from that launch, 120,000 January through March, that puts us at 540,000. So we still have almost 500,000 to go. Okay. But I will tell you what I did. I kept promoting. Again, notice I'm not talking about the serving part, because I'm like, yes, we served our people at the highest level and all that. But I kept promoting and kept promoting and kept inviting and kept putting it out there until we got to December. It was the middle of December when we hit 1 million, right, in revenue. And then we got a little higher than that before the year closed out. But I didn't stop until. And what is that? It is ownership of the goal. If you're like, yeah, it will be nice if chances are you won't hit it. Could you hit it? Yes, but chances are you won't. If you're going to crush when you started the year, what it was an impossible goal or something that you'd never done before or something that was 10x or any of those kind of things, you're going to have to hold it until. You're going to have to keep at it. You're going to have to keep the goal in front of you and keep executing until. If the goal is a nice to have, chances are you won't hit it. If you have set it where I'm going to do this, and not from an obsessive, crazy, I must have $1 million kind of way, it's more so proving to yourself that you can do what you set out to do. It's more so who you become in the process of pulling that off, which you always hear me say is the biggest reward for entrepreneurship. And so if your goal is, it will be nice, chances are you won't. If it's, I'm going to mow this down, chances are you will. Okay. So I want you to think about the goal that you have in front of you and think about these things. Are you willing to be visible? Are you willing to be 10 times more visible than you are now? Are you willing to let go of, oh, I don't like being a guest on people's podcasts. I don't like being on social media. I don't like speaking at events. I don't like, are you willing to let all of that go so you can be 10 times more visible? Are you willing to invest in community? Are you willing to invest to be in the right rooms? I highly recommend the EntreMD Business School. It is one of the best rooms for physician entrepreneurs because the people you're looking for, the people who will be vision boards for you, they're in there. They're vision boards for each other. Like this person is like, oh, you're on my vision board. Like literally, right? Okay. So investing for community. The third thing is, are you willing to engage in pathways thinking? Like, the opposite is magical thinking. Oh, I'm going to hit 7 figures. I'm going to hit 10 million in revenue. How are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm just hoping it happens. Not a strategy, not a winning strategy at all. You must be willing to engage in pathways thinking, like, how could that happen? And start playing it till you find your equation. This is something we do a lot of work on in the EntreMD Business School. Okay. The other thing is living in the 20%. So the way I describe it is that I do frog fests. What is a frog? It's another word for 20%, right? Like Eat That Frog. Brian Tracy is the person who made that really popular. And so your 20% activities, they're like frogs. And so since you have to eat the frog, just eat it. And if there's more than one frog, eat the uglier, yuckier, slimier, more disgusting one first, right? Okay, I know there's discomfort with eating frogs. I know there's discomfort with these 20% activities. I know many of them I'd rather not until I'm okay with it, until I become comfortable with it. But I don't let that vote. It's not a thing. Like the fact that something's uncomfortable doesn't mean I'm not going to do it, right? Because I'm living this life where I live in the 20%, where I spend 80% of my time doing 20% activities. And so because of that, I'm in a frog fest. I just eat frogs all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, which is a t-shirt in the merch department. You can check it out on trendy.com/merch, right? I eat frogs all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Are you willing to adopt that? Or are you going to fight for comfort? Because you can only fight for your great goal or fight for comfort. There's no greatness to be found in comfort. Now, when I say that, I need to understand this. If you spend enough time living in the discomfort of the 20%, you get comfortable there. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. Discomfort doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's just like, oh, okay, well, this is what we need to do to get to where we want to be. I'm far more interested in hitting my goal. I'm far more interested in becoming all I'm designed to be than I am with being comfortable. Far more, right? And so are you willing? Are you willing to live in the 20%? Are you willing to be in the middle of a frog fest like your new normal? Okay. And then the fifth thing is, are you going to own your goal? Do you own your goal? Or are you like, yeah, I just wrote it down, and if it happens, great. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. Or are you going for it? Now, to be clear, I want to put this out here. It will help you, because sometimes people set goals and they get completely bent out of shape by them. I have many, 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 many goals that I set and I don't hit. Many. Am I bent out of shape? No. Why am I not bent out of shape? Because the goal is important, and I own the goal because I know I have to become a different person to pull off that goal. And I know I'll like that person, right? And so my job is to set the goal and give it my absolute best shot, not fighting for comfort, not doing what I'm supposed to do, wasting all my time, all of that stuff. And if I gave it my absolute best shot and I didn't hit it, I don't worry about it. I just set it again and go for it. I don't get bent out of shape at all. But while I have it, I own it. And I own it to the very end. The first year we did 2 million. We got to 2 million on December 27th. And I was at it till December 27th. That's the way it is. If for some reason we didn't hit it, I'll be like, whoopsie, right? And I would set a bigger goal for the next year. I would have gone for it. But as long as it's within the time frame for the goal, I'm going all in. Okay? Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a few adjustments based on places you've seen, like, oh, yeah, I'm not being visible. And actually, I had been committed to not being visible. I'm going to change that. Or maybe you have no idea. You just set a goal and you're just going about your day like status quo, and you have no agenda. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna play this game Dr. Una is talking about and see if I don't figure this out, right? Or maybe you've been thinking about investing in community. Maybe you've applied to the EntreMD Business School twice and you've been thinking about it. One conversation can change everything. Maybe you've been dating your goals, but you're not married. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's time to get married. It's time to own it. It's time to do it like you mean it. I'm rooting for you. You can crush goals that will blow your mind. You can build a business that will blow your mind. You can build a life while you're at it that will blow your mind. But these 5 things need to be there. And these 5 things are things that I've continued to use. I haven't stopped with any of them. And I want to invite you to do the same. Okay? All right. So take this episode. One of the best ways to learn is to teach. So I want you to take a screenshot of it, and I want you to post it on social media and say, this is what I got out of this, and encourage the people on your feed to go watch it. And if it was super valuable for us, please leave us a review. That's how other people find the show. And they're like, oh my goodness, it's so good. You should go check it out. Okay. But the idea behind this episode is it is time for us to normalize very successful businesses owned by physicians. And every time you share and every time you leave a review, another physician finds it. Another physician has their mind blown. Another physician sees a preferred future that they cannot unsee. You're a part of the people, making a huge shift in medicine. You're part of the Calvary. Just remember that every single time you do this, okay? And remember that I'm rooting for you. I know you can win. I'm here to support you as you win. And this right here is the least you will ever be, the least your business will ever be. Go apply these things. And I cannot wait to celebrate the wins that you go on to create. See you on the next episode.